This will go all night. Are you from Karachi?
Yeah.
All for Karachi?
I made my way back to my car. 15 minutes later, the first explosion roared up in front of me.
What was that? What was that? Attack. Attack? What was it, a bomb? It's an attack. What's happened? What's happened?
I'd seen the blast, but at a distance it seemed that no one wanted it to be true.
Not a bomb. No. It's okay, no problem. God is first.
Within seconds, there'd be no more doubts.
That's no tyre. Stay here. Stay.
I recognised some of the faces among the walking wounded,
You alright?
but I knew there were hundreds more inside.
Stay. It's the next day. The streets of Karachi are pretty empty. These are normally pretty teeming boulevards. There's been reports of some cars burning and some stonings going on. Benazir Bhutto is about to make her first press conference since the explosion last night.
A defiant Benazir Bhutto has vowed to continue fighting to bring democracy to Pakistan. Speaking at a press conference just hours after an assassination attempt on her life, the former Pakistani Prime Minister called the attackers cowards and said she wasn't prepared to surrender to militants.
But we are not prepared to surrender our great nation to the militants.
Bhutto is undeterred, but it's unlikely she'll be holding any more large rallies, a vital part of Pakistani politics. She can't appear in public without the risk of losing her own life, or the weight of risking the lives of others. At this critical time in Pakistan's history, it will be harder than ever to make herself heard.
Parag, in some way, the international backing for this so-called deal between Benazir Bhutto and General Musharraf has led to the violence. That's what some analysts are saying, has led to the violence that we saw on Thursday. We saw international condemnation also on Thursday, but how do you think international powers like the UN, like Washington, are going to continue to try to shore up Musharraf?
I'm not so sure that they're going to try to shore him up. They've been encouraging him to pursue this deal. I think that on the one hand, their support for him is relatively reliable in the sense that they appreciate that whatever contours the deal has, he will remain the person on top. So I don't think that they're going to try to shape the deal so much rather than let it be shaped by the key parties and see how it turns out. Remember, this is going to be a gradual process that goes in multiple phases. There's the issue still of the viability of Musharraf's candidacy, and that will have an impact on the situation that outside powers really can't intervene in. Then there's the issue of Nawaz Sharif coming back. Then there's the issue of holding the elections in a couple of months. All of these things will actually shape the final outcome much more than outsiders tend to believe they have influence over.
Islam lies at the very heart of Pakistan. It's a religious state, partitioned from India as a homeland for Muslims. So the concept of jihad is not restricted to mullahs and muftis, it's instilled throughout the society, including the military and intelligence establishment.
The regime that is in place today, it was a regime put into place by the intelligence agencies after the flawed elections of 2002. This regime has not allowed the freedom of association, the freedom of movement, the freedom of speech for moderate political forces, and so, by default, the mosques and the madrasas have become the only outlet of permitted political expression in the country.
You learn the meaning of Quran, you learn the basic principles of Islam, you learn how to speak Arabic, you learn the meaning of Quran and the meaning of...
Hafiz Muhammad Wasim is an Australian-Pakistani dual national who lives in Sydney. He's visiting his grandfather who heads another Lahore madrasa. Muhammad studied here for years and can recite the Quran by heart. He explains that students here receive free board and tuition.
We give them a free accommodation. We don't charge them anything. They get free meals. We give them money as well. We have a doll system in Australia.
Yes.
So anybody who's studying here full time, we give them money.
So it's like I'll study?
Yeah, like we pay for them. So they don't pay anything. There's no admission fee. Nothing is just free. Everything is free.
So where does that money come from?
Different people they support, like sometime maybe the government as well, or there are a lot of people, like we have thousands of people, they're supporting us because their families is also studying here, so they know that their money is going to the right place. So,
Muhammad says it's disappointing madrasa students have become suspect in the eyes of the West. He says Islam is a religion of peace.
In the whole world, this is the present situation of the Muslims, they've been shown like they are bad and this and that, but in reality it's not like that. There are good people, there are bad people as well, everywhere in the world.
General Hamid Gul is the former head of the powerful and feared ISI, Pakistan's equivalent of the CIA.
That if, let's say, George Bush shows a dead set on conquering the world, then obviously he is to remove the resistance from wherever it comes. Now that resistance, in the Islamic world at least, will come from those people who study the Quran minutely and who believe that it is an injunction from Allah Almighty that you have to resist tyranny and occupation and encroachment upon your freedom. And this is definitely taught.
So do you believe that that's what America is doing then? That they're trying to weaken the madrasas or the ability of the madrasas, not at the moment to produce militants, but to reduce their ability
in the future.
In the future.
That's right. I think you got the point. You see, they want to reduce the ability of the Muslim society to resist occupation.
In the middle level ranks of the officer corps in the Pakistan Army, and the lower levels, it's said that there's quite a bit of sympathy for the Islamist forces, especially in terms of even family and tribal allegiances. The growing strength of the Taliban and Al-Qaeda forces and other Islamist militant forces, what would block that growing strength? Because the way the current situation seems, they're going to continue to get stronger.
This is all very difficult to judge. My own sense is that Musharraf has actually carried out considerable amount of purging in the armed forces as such through various means. Over a period of time, this, I think, has been his mission to promote the more secular officers and to get rid of as many of the jihadi sympathizers as possible. ISI, that is the Intelligence Services Directorate, which is the notorious secret service, that is much harder to really analyze in that way because the ISI is not entirely under the control of the army headquarters.
The Pakistani government would like us to believe that these battles are the result of deals it's made with its Pashtun tribes. But tribal leaders in South Waziristan say they took on the Uzbeks simply because they were behaving like criminals and bandits.
I swear by the Quran, we did not move against them at the request of the government. The reason is their activities. For the last 3 or 4 years, we have treated them as guests for the sake of Allah. But when people leave the path of God and start killing people just because they won't give them shelter or money, this is cruelty which we cannot accept.